All right, let's forget the price charts for just a minute. Today, we're going to take a totally different kind of crypto snapshot. We're looking at the powerful, and let's be honest, very human forces that are shaping its future. I'm talking about billion-dollar heist, crazy market mood swings, and these huge power struggles happening everywhere, from the halls of government to deep inside the code itself.
So what really drives this whole world? Is it just the tech? The promise of decentralization? Or, as we're about to find out, is it something a little more, well, human?
The reality is, it's this constant tug-of-war between these four big arenas. And to really get the bigger picture, we're going to dive into a story from each one that tells you pretty much everything you need to know.
So first up, we've got a story that has all the makings of a Hollywood movie. I mean, you've got a massive hack, a really quirky couple, and a surprising legal twist that has everybody talking.
Meet Ilya Lichtenstein. Back in 2016, he was the guy behind one of the biggest crypto heists in history. He managed to siphon away what would eventually be worth billions of dollars in Bitcoin from the Bitfinex exchange.
Now check out this timeline. The prime happens way back in 2016. It takes a full 6 years for law enforcement to finally track Lichtenstein and his wife down and get the money back. But then, just this year, he gets an early release. So how on earth did that happen?
Well, the answer is this piece of legislation right here, the First Step Act. It's a pretty recent justice reform law, and because Lichtenstein cooperated with the authorities, he was actually eligible. His case has become a huge flashpoint for how this law gets applied in the world of high-tech crime.
So here's the crucial point. We are literally watching the legal system adapt in real time to these massive digital crimes. This case is setting a benchmark, and it's forcing us to ask some new questions. Like, does helping the feds mean a billion-dollar crypto heist gets treated more leniently than old-school financial crimes? It's a precedent that you can bet future crypto criminals will be watching very, very closely.
Okay, so from the courtroom, let's move to the court of public opinion, the crypto market itself. And right now, it is a place of deep, deep contradiction.
So on one side, you've got social media. Data from Sentiment is showing that the general conversation, the online buzz, is actually starting to get optimistic again. But then you look at the classic Fear and Greed Index, which measures how investors are actually behaving, and it is still flashing fear.
And this really shows you the disconnect, doesn't it? People are talking a good game online, but their actual investment moves show a lot of hesitation, a lot of anxiety. It's a classic case of say one thing, but feel another.
So why should you care about this psychological tug-of-war? Well, because historically, this kind of gap, between bullish talk and fearful action can be a major red flag for market volatility. It's a tension that sooner or later usually snaps.
Now, that fear we just talked about is driven, at least in part, by uncertainty. And that brings us perfectly to our third story, the powerful external force of government regulation, especially what's happening in the United States. At the heart of this whole debate is legislation like the Clarity Act. This is a really ambitious bill, and it's designed to create a comprehensive, long-term rulebook for crypto in the US. And that key phrase right there is long-term.
Because creating those long-term rules is a slow, grinding process. I mean, a bill has to navigate this whole complex maze of committees and debates and votes in both the House and the Senate before it even has a chance of becoming law. The system is designed to be deliberate, not fast.
And what's interesting is that major players in the industry, like Coinbase, are actually advocating for this slower, more thoughtful approach. Their whole argument is that getting it right is way more important than getting it done quickly. They want a solid foundation, not a bunch of temporary patches that might just stifle innovation down the line.
And look, the stakes here could not be higher. This long road to regulation is honestly one of the biggest stories in crypto, because its outcome is what will decide whether the big institutions, I'm talking pension funds, investment banks, feel safe enough to really enter the market at scale.
For our last story, we're going to zoom in from the national level right into the heart of the ecosystem itself, to the internal politics of decentralized finance, or DeFi. And a recent event at Aave, a huge DeFi protocol, tells us everything we need to know about the challenges going on in there.
So the leadership at Aave put forward a brand new strategic proposal. But the community, the token holders who make up the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, they voted it down. And it wasn't even close. The community flexed its muscle and rejected the founder's vision by a huge margin.
In response, the founder, Stani Kulichov, basically doubled down on his vision.
He emphasized a shift toward real-world assets, and his statement really just highlighted this tension between a leader's top-down direction and the will of the decentralized community that he helped create.
And this, right here, perfectly captures the fundamental dilemma facing so many DeFi projects. How do you move forward with a clear, strategic vision when the ultimate control is in the hands of a decentralized and sometimes pretty divided community? I mean, solving this is absolutely critical for the future of DeFi.
So let's pull the lens back for a second. Our snapshot has shown us a justice system that's playing catch-up with crypto crime, a market that's caught between what people say and what they actually feel, a regulatory process that is intentionally a marathon, not a sprint, and a DeFi ecosystem that's really struggling with its own core principles of who gets to be in charge. And of course, always remember the daily security risks, things like wallet attacks, they're a constant threat underneath it all.
Which really just leaves us with one final question. When you've got individual criminals, the wisdom of the crowd, government bodies, and these internal communities all pulling in different directions, who is actually steering the ship? Something to think about.